Hello. Hello. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tennessee Environmental Network Show of the South lunch plenary session. You guys are just making your way right through this program. I hope you've enjoyed the breakout sessions. Hey, how's it going back there? Thanks for waving. That always makes it fun. All right, would love to take another opportunity to thank our sponsors. Again, without our sponsors and exhibitors who have put tremendous amount of effort into getting here for you guys' entertainment. Synergy Group, Project Management, Platinum sponsor. Synergy Studios, filming all of the breakout sessions and plenary sessions for your enjoyment after. We have Republic Services and the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation as our platinum sponsors. Our gold sponsors, Burns McDonnell, ePro GeoSeal, Haley Aldrich, Stantec, and Wright Brothers Contracting as our gold sponsors. Our silver sponsors, AECom, Envirocon, eTank, Onsite Environmental, and Waste Management. And then we also have our great list of bronze sponsors. And also our specialty sponsors. And again, a special thank you to Weaver Consultants for stepping up over at the golf tournament. Again, a really big success. I would also like to take a moment to recognize our student scholarship finalists over here. And they're always welcome to explain their research to you, so I'd like them to introduce themselves, and we'll be tonight giving away our student scholarships during the reception, so please come and experience that with us.
Hi, my name is Claire Wilson. I'm a master's student at the University of South Carolina. My research is in drinking water, and specifically my project look at inequity in water access, affordability, and quality in South Carolina.
Woohoo! Thank you for being a part of the student scholarship competition.
Hello, everybody. My name is Chance Morris. I go to Tennessee Technological University. I am a rising senior, and my project is over water remediation of cadmium. I'd love to talk to you, so if you're interested, please stop by.
And thank you for being part of our inaugural student scholarship competition. So again, tonight we're going to be awarding these scholarships, so please come and enjoy that with us. And with that, I would like to go ahead and thank the universe's finest MC out here. She just keeps getting better. It's amazing. So Amy Ketcher.
Thank you, David. All right, I knew I shouldn't have made that joke. If you've been with us for all the plenaries, it started yesterday. I was allegedly the best in the nation. Then this morning, I was the best in the world. So I'm like, oh gosh, what? Am I going to be the best in the universe next? And he took the bait. He took the bait. All right, so everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We have a couple of amazing speakers coming up for our luncheon plenary. I'm going to welcome them to the stage. I'm going to read your bios so you don't have to go sit up there next, but I am going to be welcoming them to the stage. Yeah, look at that. He's just so excited. He's already like popping up out of his seat. I'm going to be introducing two very fine speakers for you, but you know what? Before that, I want to talk about how much fun we've been having. We introduced the incredible student scholarship student poster contest up there. I also want to give a shout out to the sponsors. I know David announced them, but we also have some incredible exhibitors out there. You want to go by and visit their booths because you can pick up some really cool swag. And I am going to attempt to do this live with a microphone in my hand. Check out some of the cool swag that you can get. Check this out, guys. We're talking yo-yos. Light up yo-yos, all right? Oh, I knew I wasn't going to be able to do that well, trying to do it in front of everybody. But I mean, we have some very cool exhibitors you want to check out after the luncheon plenary is done. But now I get the honor to introduce two very cool speakers. So, all right, now you guys can start walking over to the stage. It's going to be my pleasure to introduce Rebecca Toline. She serves as Tennessee Valley Authority's Chief Sustainability Officer. She is currently working to ensure the nation's largest public power provider becomes a national leader in leveraging technology to create the clean energy economy of the future. Ms. Toling is also responsible for developing TVA's environmental policy, monitoring performance against corporate environmental goals, and improving executive-level working relationships with federal and state regulators and environmental stakeholders. She previously served as TVA's Deputy General Counsel and as advisor to the TVA Board of Directors and 2 CEOs. CSO Toling also served as the Vice President of Supply Chain, led the development of TVA's natural resource strategies, land policies, and oversaw projects to protect biodiversity and improve public access and recreation opportunities across TVA's 7-state region. She has also led other corporate staff functions focused on improving critical infrastructure security, reducing real property costs, implementing continuous improvement programs, and negotiating retiree benefits. Also on the stage now is Deputy Commissioner Greg Young. Oh, sadly, he's wearing professional clothes. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen? This man dressed as both a wizard and as a unicorn just in the month of April alone. So I'm really disappointed you're wearing a suit today, Greg, but you look great. You look great. All right, so Deputy Commissioner Greg Young he became Deputy Commissioner for TDEC's Bureau of Environment in February of 2019, bringing 18 years of experience in practicing environmental law in Tennessee. His practice included environmental permitting, rulemaking, as well as compliance and enforcement cases. He has a range of expertise in matters involving water quality, air permitting, solid and hazardous waste, utility regulatory programs, and more. He has also worked on conservation projects involving land donations, conservation easements, greenhouse gas credits, and stream and wetland mitigation. DC Young has served as co-chair of the Working Group for Institutional and Legal Framework for TNH2O, which is Tennessee's statewide initiative for securing the future of water resources. He was appointed in 2016 to serve on TDEC's Water Reuse Advisory Committee. The Deputy Commissioner has also represented agencies of the state of Tennessee on environmental matters. He received his law degree from Tulane University in 2001 after receiving a bachelor's degree from Mississippi College. So welcome them to the stage, and guys, take it away.
Mic check. Mic check. Can you hear me now? Mic check. Get yourself a mic check real quick.
Good afternoon, everybody.
There we go. All right. Well, thank y'all so much for the opportunity to be here and talk. It's going to be a riveting presentation. Before I get started, I would like to recognize a celebrity in our audience that I met last night. I'm going to embarrass the heck out of him right now. I can't remember his name, but if my buddy Aquaman would stand up and just wave at everybody. He's from Fisher Environmental, I think. Come on, Aquaman, I see you over there. Does that guy not look like Aquaman, right? So y'all make sure to go hang out and meet the Aquaman. All right, with that being said, we're going to get down to business right now. Sorry, man, I couldn't resist. We're going to get down to business right now and talk a little bit about a absolutely important topic. All seriousness, this is important. How scientific integrity and legal principles based on sound collaboration among professional colleagues, including those in the TENSOS community, guide both project management and decision making at TDEC and TVA. So the first thing that, just to kind of kick this off, that I think is important to remember, and I will give credit to other people. Imitation is the best form of flattery, so I will hear stuff and I'll kind of regurgitate it, say it as my own. So if you said this, I borrowed it from you. Somebody once said, culture eats strategy. If you said that, raise your hand and I will thank you more officially later, but culture eats strategy. So while we can be strategic about using good science and following the law, I think it's a concept that really needs to be ingrained in both TDEC and TVA culture. It's part of our culture that we have a good scientific basis upon which to make regulatory decisions. So I wanted to kind of get that out there from a cultural perspective, Science and scientific integrity are paramount. Your turn. What do you think?
Yeah, so, I think we have representatives here from all over, right? Some of you represent industry, some of you are regulators, some of you consider yourself environmentalists, some of you are consultants. What bounds us all is our ethic around scientific integrity. And it has to be at the forefront of what we do for our work to be valued. And so, TVA is really built upon principles of scientific integrity at the beginning. But to Greg's point around culture, for the environmental team at TVA, one of our values is scientific integrity. Like all of you, we all face pressures, right? You have folks who have paid for your services if you're a consultant. You have fundraising to do if you're an environmentalist. You have outside scrutiny if you're a regulator. There are pressures, but the way you withstand that is to have pure scientific integrity in your data and your decision making. And that's what we're talking about here today. One of the reasons a place like this is valuable is we come together to talk about the technical and the science, right? And that has to be the foundation that we build upon all together.
Amen. I love it. We're seeing eye to eye right now. I see some rounds of applause. Y'all feel free to get happy out there. And if you want to clap, that's fine. But don't feel obligated. So one thing that EPA people have stolen from Greg Young, and they have adopted this as their own, and I'm kidding, EPA. We share a common sentiment that our decision making should be guided by both good science and the law. One of the first things that, not the regional administrator, the big EPA administrator, Regan put out, was wanting to ensure that EPA under his command was making good decisions based on science and law. One of the first meetings, Michelle, I think you probably remember this, that I had with the Bureau of Environment directors was making sure, I'm the new guy to the table, right? And so what do they expect from me? And so I was trying to let them know, hey, here's where my head's at when it comes to what I expect folks to do in making regulatory decisions. One of the first speeches I ever gave was to this same crowd back when we, the prior TENSOS, and I said it there too. I want regulatory decisions to be make regulatory decisions that are, one, based on the best available science, take into account factual circumstances, and consider and apply the legal and regulatory requirements. I hope we do that. I hope for you all that are service providers that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, hold our feet to the fire on making sure that those decisions that we make are based on good science and applicable legal requirements. And if we don't do that, let us know. I mean, we answer to you all, so make sure we are getting it right. We are trying to do that internally. I don't know, I've got one other comment in that vein, but I'll give Rebecca the floor so I don't absolutely talk too much. Sorry.
No, I think, as our TDEC is one of our regulators, and
That's true.
we have found that relationship both with each other, right? To have it based on scientific integrity, and sometimes we push on each other around that and ask the right fact questions. I think it's incumbent upon all of us, those of you who are legal representatives, make sure you're pushing your clients to make sure they're making decisions based on scientific integrity. I will say this, it's not only the right thing to do, it's the right business decision. So if you're making decisions on things other than the science, eventually that will catch up with you. So having that science, and we say science like that's easy, right? I mean, there's a lot that goes into trying to figure out what's going on in the scientific areas that we're studying, whether that's air, water, waste, or many others. But making sure you're building those business decisions based on good science is imperative. And I'll go one more step further and say it's imperative on all of our parts when we're talking to people who aren't as familiar with these environmental areas to be as clear and as concise as you can be. The entire world is dealing with a crazy amount of information right now, and the areas that you guys all deal with are complex. And so helping the general public understand the science is going to be one of the biggest things challenging all of us in the future. And I think we have to work together and support each other, even if we're on opposite sides of certain issues or wherever we sit, to make sure the science is getting communicated and understood.
So we're going to come back to evolving science. This is foreshadowing. We're going to come back to how science evolves and changes. But what I do want to do is kind of pose a question to the audience, to Rebecca, to anybody that wants to answer. I talk about science facts. We talk about science and the law and making sure, and I love the business acumen side of that too. I think that's a great comment. I didn't say anything about politics. Did I miss that? What is it? Should we take that into account? What do y'all think about politics? All right, I'll kind of give you, it's a bit of a rhetorical question because, or at least my answer to my own question is, if I can get it right, if we can get it right on the science and the facts and the law, then the political overlay on all that, you cannot be naive about politics and General Assembly members and the governor's office to whom we answer, okay? Do not, we have to look at those things, but if we can first of all, most importantly, get it right on the science and the law, then that stuff can normally fall into place and it enables the politicos and the congressionals, whoever else you're dealing with, to make the right decisions and doesn't, it elevates the discussion above pure politics. That's my thought. But I welcome input. I mean, what do y'all think about that? Does anybody want to call me a liar or tell me I'm wrong? Y'all speak up. Or not.
Well,
Not you, Neil. No. You stay quiet. No.
well, while they're garnering their arguments, I'll say, I think that's exactly right. In the best of all worlds, policy is built on good science, right? And so I think the ebbs and flows of the world around us, whether it's politics or a whole host of other factors, I think Greg is right. If you're built on a foundation of science, you can kind of ride those ships and ride those storms out. It is when you're not that your business or your entity will suffer because you're going to have to yo-yo around, right? And so having that was, I think I mixed like 4 analogies in that paragraph right there.
Metaphors are great.
But,
keep rolling.
okay, but I'm just going to say, I think there's a lot to be said to making sure we're building on science. And it serves your customers, your clients, the businesses you work for, or the regulator entity that you work for. It serves that entity best if you're relying on good science.
All right, Coach Penny, giddy up, man. I know you've been dying to talk back there, Bill.
Hello?
That's a great, so I don't know if you all heard that, but there's a motion on the floor, if you will, or a position that has been stated by the one and only Bill Penny, Esquire Extraordinaire, about scientists needing to understand civics and how the law works. So valid comment, but what we do as professionals in this field is right at the connection of both science and law. And so you may have, you're a lawyer, Bill, and I know you, like me, probably believe strongly that the law is important. I know there's probably some scientists out there that say, the science should drive the legal and regulatory process. So we do find ourselves, I believe, in a situation where we have to try to marry those two. It's not always easy. It can create contested cases. Bill, you make a very good living doing contested cases. We are, and I did too. But so, you know, I think that there's room for improvement there. I don't think our system's perfect, but I think that's why we come together in scenarios like this, in conferences like this, to share that information about, hey, there is something from a legal standpoint that should be taken better into account from a scientific regulatory standpoint as well. So I think this is the perfect forum to air those concerns and to have the discussion.
Yeah, and I'll just say, let's take Bill up on his challenge, right? So those of you who are engineers or scientists in certain areas, I think it is important for you to understand how the process works, how civics works, and your ability to influence it based on the science. So I'm not sure that's not something we should, not on TVA's behalf, but I'll say on Rebecca's behalf, I believe the whole country might need a civics lesson every once in a while. But for us to understand how we can influence based on your scientific knowledge, I think is really imperative as we move forward. And again, there's just so much noise going on in these areas, right? We need your voices. We need your clarity, both for policymakers, for politicians, and the lawyers. They act like, I'm a recovering lawyer. We act like we can do things without you, but we can't. So, so I think we should take Bill up on that challenge a little bit.
Thanks, Coach. Anybody else want to chime in before we kind of talk about changes? Because this is, when I was preparing for this, I was trying to put we could sit up here and tell war stories about, you know, examples of, okay, well, we did this and this was a great opportunity for science and law and collaboration and things like that. And we may do that. But the frame, you know, I tried to figure out, well, what's a framework of analysis here, an analytical framework to challenge the audience to think about law and science, legal principles, legal requirements, and scientific integrity. And I thought about it in terms of a spectrum, okay? Some science and some law are very well settled, okay? That's the easy stuff to handle, okay? That's, you know, if science is well settled and the law is well settled, then we should be able to act expeditiously and render a decision from a regulatory standpoint. Similarly, you professionals can advise your clients accordingly, you know, in a fashion. Where things start to get more difficult is when we have science. Does anybody think science is static and unchanging? Okay, I see most people shaking their head no. That was my understanding being a lawyer, that science evolves and changes as we have new developments and things like that. So, you know, perhaps a framework of trying to challenge all of us moving forward is, how do we adapt or how do we as environmental professionals change with evolving science? And another question, does the law change? Yes, it does. It is, you know, there's some features of the law that are not very dynamic, but I believe that environmental regulatory law is, you know, EPA will put out new standards as science may change that informs those legal regulatory requirements. Whether you agree or disagree with that, you know, those standards, that's what litigation, et cetera, is for. But there is a process of change when it comes to science and law, and so perhaps some discussion around how we navigate that together and use each other's collective knowledge to do so.
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, I think that's a great point. It brings us back to why we're here this week, right? You can look at the list of discussions we've had, and a lot of those are in that area, right? When you're crossing over to law is not crisp yet, science is maybe still fuzzy, or we're still working on it. I mean, a lot of discussions around those areas as we move forward, and I think that's what makes sessions like this valuable, because we're coming together, having those discussions, trying to problem solve a bit together, which I think is also what the industry and regulators have to do, right? We have to make sure we're working together as new regulations are developed, that they're based on science, those sorts of things. And I think that's right. I mean, I think there's some things that are settled, and there are some things where the dialogue is continuing.
Well, and to piggyback on that, you know, the mission that we have as this organization has, this conference has, is to deal with fresh, new, high-value, well-balanced, diverse, and relevant educational content. That word fresh, you know, means that things are new, things are evolving, things are changing. But using this format here to create and effectively operate on an annual occurring basis at this conference, providing fresh, new, high-value, well-balanced, diverse, and relevant educational content with a positive impact on current and future practitioners and the environment of Tennessee and the Southeast region. That's the goal here. That's what we're trying to do at the end of the day. And so I applaud you and all the other stakeholders that we have to deal with on this, and I'll let you kind of, I don't know if we probably got about 5 more minutes, but we'll start winding down here if you're okay with that, or you go.
Yeah, no, I'll just echo what Greg said and say, I spoke at a couple sessions this morning, and just the questions I was asked brought new thoughts to mind and new areas for me to explore. So I will say, I think that makes these sessions very valuable. Obviously, the contacts that we're making in the hallway and the checking in on folks, I don't know about you guys, but after a couple years of not seeing people, it's a little overwhelming to see everybody at once. But that's what makes these sessions valuable. So for those of you who've been in sessions with me, I really appreciate the questions and the challenges as we continue to work through kind of all these environmental issues in front of us. So, and Greg, thank you for kind of heading us up today and getting us through this discussion and scientific integrity. I think it's core to what we do.
Last comment, we've talked about scientific integrity and collaboration and you know, this conference and legal stuff. I think it is imperative, and I want the folks here to know that from TDEC's standpoint and TVA's, I think you share this, it's imperative that we have external stakeholder collaboration and input in our day-to-day jobs. We take that very seriously. I know both Rebecca and I have frequent conversations about how best to engage with the public. Many of you may know I love a working group, okay? I love creating a working group of interested stakeholders around tough issues like emerging contaminants. Jeremy Hooper is here in the audience, and by the way, you'll have to ask Jeremy Hooper about his Zombie Deer Award at some point during the conference. That's perhaps the most prestigious award ever handed out at TDEC, and Jeremy Hooper won the Zombie Deer Award. But anyway, moving on, those working groups and that collaboration and input from other people, stakeholders across the spectrum, regardless of your interest, is particularly important. And so having the opportunity here and elsewhere to do that, please speak freely, speak often, speak loud, and thank you for that.
Yeah, no, we echo the same. I think, we're still working on public meetings and public discussions and how to make those the best we can, but also just hearing from you guys. So feel free to catch Greg or myself anytime today and give us your thoughts, and we appreciate what you guys are doing every day to make the Valley a little bit safer, a little bit better, a little bit more environmentally friendly. So anything else, Greg?
Kind of get an amen to that.
I can't tell how excited we are out here.
Motion to adjourn.
There you go.
All right.
All right, let's hear it again for Rebecca Toline and Greg Young.
Hey, were we supposed to do questions?
I don't know, do you
sorry,
want to do questions? Does anyone have questions? I've got a microphone now. I can come to you and make it a little bit easier to hear.
I'm not
Instead of the
asking
yelling
people to
thing.
grill me or anything, but if somebody wants to say,
Greg really
Now's
wants
your
to
How
chance.
great
difficult
Grill
questions.
Greg. Grill Greg, everybody. Now's your chance. Anyone? Commissioner
y'all are
Salyers?
welcome to ask questions. Please feel free. Motion to adjourn?
Can I get a second? All in favor say aye. All opposed, same side. All right.
All right,
Thank
get it up,
you.
y'all.
Passes.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
All right, let's give him another round of applause. All right, so we have a little bit of free time to go visit with the exhibitors. The afternoon sessions start promptly at 2 o'clock. We've got some great afternoon breakout sessions. We're talking about chemical recycling. We're talking about the state EV charging networks. I mean, there's going to be a lot of great things. And then join us right back here in the exhibit hall at 4:45. That's when we're going to do the Student Scholarship Awards, and we're also going to have our evening reception. So have a great afternoon, everyone, at TENSOS 2022.
Welcome to GEC.
Hey everybody, looking forward to seeing you at GEC 2022 down in Jekyll Island. And don't forget the golf.
August 23rd through August 26th, Jekyll Island, Georgia Environmental Conference. See you there.
Come on down to the Georgia coast, learn a little bit, laugh a little bit. Georgia Environmental Conference is great.
If I can give you one reason to come to GEC, networking.
Hey folks, come to the Georgia Environmental Conference. Jekyll Island's a beautiful place. Hope to see everyone there.
We can't wait to see you in Jekyll Island.
I can guarantee you are going to get something super valuable out of this year's Georgia Environmental Conference.
Don't let the name fool you. This is really a southern regional conference with people from all over our area practicing, exchanging ideas, exchanging information, and exchanging business cards, which is always good.
We look forward to nailing down this program, making it the most incredible one for the 15th annual Georgia Environmental Conference. Can't wait to see you on Jekyll Island, August 23rd through 26th, 2022. Welcome back.